This podcast is dedicated to helping high achievers on the verge of burnout reclaim a healthier work-life balance without sacrificing growth or success. Welcome to episode 25 of Give Yourself Some Leeway with me, your host, Eugene Lee. Today I am joined by Kathy Houston. Kathy is a life coach for mature women, helping them create lasting change in their health, wellness, and fulfilling relationships in an LGBTQ+ safe space. Here at Leeway, our approach to burnout recovery revolves around physical, mental, and emotional well-being. However, Kathy's approach to life coaching incorporates 6 elements of well-being. So today I pick Kathy's brain a little bit to try and see how her approach in balancing 6 energies can be applied to someone's pursuit in achieving balance. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review, maybe share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or feedback, reach out to me at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com or send me an email, eugene@leeway.ie. Thank you, and I really hope you enjoyed today's episode with Kathy Houston. So Kathy, it's great to have you here on the show. And one thing that I always like to start with when it comes to guests is there's this turning point or breaking point that we all face in our journeys before we start our self-improvement or our personal development, and then we always tend to end up in coaching. So I want to know what that was for you. Where did that spark and vision come from? Was there a specific breaking point or turning point? And then from that personal development journey, you get this spark, this vision that brought you on your coaching journey. So if you'd like to share, why is it that you do what you do?
Well, great. Thank you for having me, Eugene. I appreciate being on the show and being able to talk with you today. So the spark for me was at the age of 45, I realized I was attracted to women. I was currently in a long-term marriage to my husband with 2 grown children, house, mortgage, college, everything was kind of topsy-turvy. I didn't do anything about it until I was 50. And then I started on my journey of transitioning basically out of a normal heterosexual marriage into the current relationship I'm in now with my wife. And she was going through the same thing as well, transitioning out of a standard male husband marriage and doing the same thing. So in the process of doing all that, that creates a lot of self-discovery and some time to talk with yourself and sit with yourself. In that time, I also figured I had a 30-year retail career, different retailers across the United States. And I said, okay, well, I'm done with this marriage. I'm going to go this way. And I think I'm done with retail because it's not doing very well. And they're having a lot of problems. So I need to find something else. What do I do well? What am I passionate about? And it's always been about helping people, because as the store manager, that's what I was in charge of. Basically, I was in charge of making sure everybody got what they needed to get their job done, and we all moved in one direction. And sometimes it was they needed coaching and counseling. Sometimes they needed me to help them with schoolwork. Sometimes they needed to change their schedule for school. Sometimes they needed me to fire them. And it was a lot like coaching almost. And I was like, okay, well, let me dive into this and see what it's really about, because I'm sure there's more to it than just my store manager stuff that I had done before. So yes, in fact, there is a lot more to it. The running the business side of the house is also quite daunting, as well as just doing the coaching. But the coaching and having clients succeed, make changes, hit their goals, watch them grow, that is the best satisfaction ever for a thriving coach. That is the wonderful thing of it.
So it was really your retail experience that was, let's say, the spark that got you into coaching.
Yes.
Is that that's where the vision came from?
Yep.
And is there, let's say, a specific like niche or audience that sparked your interest when you were working? Was it when you were working in retail that you realized that there were specific people that you wanted to help? Or was there a different spark in your journey that made you realize, I want to help this group of people?
In retail, the age range was from 16, 17, all the way up to 50, 60 years old. So all different kinds of people, male, female, everybody, all diversities. But in once I got out of that, and when I went through my LGBTQ journey, that's when I decided I wanted to focus on mature women, kind of like myself, or younger, like 45 or so, and in the LGBTQ community and what they needed help with. Because I think that sometimes there's not a safe space for that in coaching and in therapy. So I wanted to provide that space. And so it took me a little while to narrow it down, but basically I help mature women create lasting change in their mindset energies for health, fitness, and relationships in an LGBTQ plus safe space. And that's took a while for that to all come together, but it's definitely what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that's great. It's really insightful. I think, I especially is it when it comes to that age, there's kind of an identity shift as well. And I think it's helping people to realize that there is an identity shift to even to become more comfortable and to develop a growth mindset. It's not just about changing your habits or changing your behaviors. There's also, you have to change your identity as well to become that new, better version of yourself. And I think it's trying to help
Right.
them realize that as well, that they can change.
Yes, and it's never too late, and it's not too early either. You don't need to wait till the midlife 45, 50-year-old thing to have your midlife crisis and say, oh, I need to change my life. We don't have to wait that long. The good news is we can start earlier than that for personal development. And I think that what we've gone through with the pandemic and with mental health and the focus on mental health, that I think we're focusing on it now at a much younger age. And when we're in our 20s and our 30s, and now what's my purpose? What's my value? What are my beliefs? And not just going through the motions of marriage, career, college, 2 children, and a dog.
Yeah, I get that. And I think it's a massive culture change that we're seeing recently. And it's definitely one that it's great to see people embracing. Because I mean, 10, 20 years ago, that would be such a foreign concept.
Mm-hmm.
In especially even in Western society, it was such a foreign concept, that whole like embracing that, trying to stop living on autopilot and
Right.
by societal norms. So it's great to see the shift in that direction now. Yeah, one thing that I do like about, let's say, your approach and your coaching is that it does have similarities to mine, where I like to focus on your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. But I see that you prefer to focus on your approach is the 6 energies, which is your physical, mental, emotional, social, spiritual, and environmental.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd love to hear your approach on that. See, it's a lot, and kind of elaborate more on why you have the 6 energies and trying to balance the 6 energies.
Right. So the relationship energy is one of the most important ones. Our relationships with others, and I mean, other people can be uplifting, and other people can be draining, and naysayers can bring that energy down in relationships. Our spiritual type existential meaning is where our core values and our core beliefs are. And when we're in alignment in our core values and our core beliefs, we're good. If anything causes us to question, this is against my values, this is against my beliefs, something is wrong, then it's going to drain your energy, your mental energy from that one. Another one you talked about was physical health. That is so critical. I mean, nutrition, sleep, exercise, all of those are so important to a positive energy. If any of those are out of balance, we have disease, we're in pain, we have back pain, knee pain, we're overweight. All those things drain our energy and cause us not to be as productive people as we want to. Social was one of the ones you said, which is like, I want to say like positive emotion. So you're able to handle your emotions. You're able to choose how you respond. You're in balance. If you get out of balance and you don't choose how you respond, or you just react, then that's going to be a drain on your energy. And also the environmental piece is just the environment that you're in, just physical environment. Is it safe? Is it do you have shelter? Do you have food? Do you have the basic necessities of your environment? I mean, if it pours down rain on you in the middle of a golf game, that's going to affect your energy. If there's a sudden snowstorm and you get stuck on the side of the road, that's going to affect your energy levels, and your mindset is going to go haywire. in those types of situations. And then another one is accomplishments. So you're able to take pride in yourself and your accomplishments. You're able to celebrate your successes, and you're able to, even small successes, you're able to have that sense of pride, success. That's important to our mental well-being. And I think that's the 6.
Great. And I suppose when it comes to if someone isn't familiar with the 6 energies, and let's say they're feeling stressed at work, or maybe they're feeling a little burnt out, what would be your best approach to maybe introducing them to the 6 energies? What would be your best approach to helping them learn how to delve deeper into each of those 6 energies?
There's some questions we have to ask ourselves on a daily, and it's a daily measurement of like a 1 through 5. Do I feel gratitude today? Can I find more good than bad today? And you kind of rate yourself on a 1 to 5 scale on how you feel about that. 5 being excellent, 4 being very good, 3 is good, 2, 1. And then overall, you get a picture of where you are on all those energies. It's kind of like a wheel. And wherever the wheel indents in down to that 1 or a 2, or maybe even a 3, that's where you want to work on. That's where you want to start first, with that energy that's causing you to feel that 1 or 2 level that you need to work on. And we come up with an action plan on like a 3-pronged attack, so to speak, on how we are going to change that energy and move that energy back out to a 4 or a 5, to where we want it to be all the time. So what do I need to do as a person? Do I need to, I'm burnout at work? Do I need better time management? Do I need to work less? Do I physically need to be more productive? Do I need to use a timing technique to help me be more productive at work? All these things you can add into your action plan, and then focus on that one thing first, and then the next step, and then the next step. And it can be a slow process depending on where the energies are on the wheel. If they're all kind of in, well, then it's like, oh, we got to pick one. If we're just imploding into a 1 or a 2 and all the energies, that's going to be a long road. But just 1 or 2 of the energies are off, that is so easy to grab a hold of that and brainstorm ideas and figure out what you're going to do to move that one energy.
Yeah, because I just from my own personal, when I was fully burnt out and like trying to, if I was to assess those questions, like I wasn't feeling anything at all. I was so exhausted. I like physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausted. I was disconnected from any social connections and relationships, everything. That if I was looking at that wheel, everything would be a 1 or negative. It would just implode. So it's trying to find, where would your starting point be if you found yourself, let's say on a scale of 1 to 5, you're a -1 on all of those in the wheel, and you have no idea where to start. What would your ideal starting point be? Which of the 6 energies do you think is the most essential to begin with?
To begin with, especially if your health energy is off, it would be nutrition, exercise, hydration, sleep, the basic physical needs, your preventative care, taking care of your body, eating right, getting a nutrition plan in place, because probably none of that is happening. There's no sleep, getting a sleep pattern in place, changing your habits so you can get to sleep, get off your screen, don't drink caffeine, all those kind of physical things. I think the physical would be the place to start if everything is imploding. Nutrition and exercise and hydration and sleep, I cannot emphasize enough that will help a lot of situations right there.
Yeah, like I think that's one of the, let's say, my key points is I always come back to, if people don't know where to start, the most simple habit, and some people almost think, oh, that's too simple, why are we starting with something so insignificant as it, but it's something that a lot of people are lacking on, and that's having more water. Just have a glass of water first thing in the morning.
Yep.
Have a glass of water at your meal times, and have a glass of water, well, maybe not too close to bedtime, But again, just trying to get to rehydrate, because like if you're not hydrated, you can't think properly, your digestive system isn't working properly, you're going to be in a foul mood all the time. And just by rehydrating, you find yourself, you have more energy, you can think properly, you can think straight, and that's where everything begins to. I think it's the best starting point. Even
Yes,
before you dial in your nutrition or your sleep or anything, once you dial in your water intake, it's kind of like the spark, the fuel that gets everything else going. It's the catalyst
right.
to all the other reactions in your body. So I always
Mhm.
start with regular, get your daily water intake
Right.
as your
How much
first
water
step.
are you drinking? Right. Yep, exactly. I have one of my nutrition plans says that you actually should drink half of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 180 pounds, you should drink 90 ounces of water a day. And I was like, wow, oh my God. But it actually, if you get a big enough jug, you can do it. Yeah. So,
Yeah, again, yeah, because in here we do it in kilograms, so
all right.
which is almost like was it um 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds, so it's like it's
Mhm.
almost like your weight in kilograms in ounces.
Is how much
So
water you should drink. Yep.
so yeah, it's when you're doing the conversions, next thing is like, oh, divide your body weight by half, and I'm like, it's divide your body weight in pounds by half.
Right. Pounds by half.
Yeah,
Yep.
pounds by half, yeah, and then in ounces. But yeah, it's definitely, and then of course that's a good starting point. Let's say that's
Mhm.
your minimum intake. But then if you include exercise or the environment, whether it's if it's hot weather or anything, that of course you're going to have to um compensate, whether you're more physically active and you're dehydrated, or if you're feeling sick, or if you're in a hot climate,
Right.
you're probably going to have to increase your water intake as well. And then as
Mhm.
well, keeping hydrated and making sure you get electrolytes. If you're downing your water intake in one serving, that's not going to work for your
No.
body either. So it's all about
Yeah, space it out.
spacing it out, exactly,
Yeah.
timing out throughout the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great. And I suppose, coming from, let's say, a workplace perspective, if you're feeling um kind of overwhelmed at work, and you can't, let's say, set which of those six energies is off balance at work. Is it because you're, let's say, is it your social? Are you not connecting with your work colleagues or your boss? Is it all in your head? You feel that it's just mental? How do you is there let's say an internal conversation that you have with yourself other than that wheel? Is there a set of questions that you ask yourself? I don't know if I'm making sense of this question or not, or maybe I'm going off on a little tangent. But is there, let's say, your internal dialogue can
Right.
can shift you off that wheel, because you
Mhm.
might feel like you're off balance, and you're like, is it because I'm socially disconnected? Is it because um, of this internal dialogue? Is it just my mental health? Is it the environment? Is it because of the let's say toxic work culture around me
Mhm.
that I'm feeling off balance here? Or do I just see that workplace culture as being toxic because that's my perspective of it? Maybe like you're thinking that everyone is against you when they're really not. Let's say it's your imposter syndrome,
Right.
or whatever you're telling yourself coming out, and you're kind of self-sabotaging yourself.
The
Is
negative
there,
self-talk. Right.
yeah, is there, let's say, maybe a kind of self affirmations, or maybe a set of questions that you ask yourself to balance yourself, or to set yourself straight before you assess yourself using the wheel?
So daily affirmations are always a great thing. Visualizing how you want something to come out is always a great thing to do. The visualizations and the affirmations. Um, Affirmations have to be a lot more than just, I'm a good communicator or I'm a good listener. It has to be much more specific than that. And then visualizations have to be very specific too on how you want an outcome to be. The goal for the day. Let's say your main goal for the day. You've got to visualize it with as many senses as you possibly can to incorporate it into that. I'm not sure if that's where you were going with your question, but the negative self-talk, with the wheels that are going on in our head, that is a whole nother issue that you've got to, like, just, stop and ask yourself, why am I thinking this? What am I saying? Why am I talking like this to myself? Some of that has to do with therapy and some baggage that you've had in your past, or how you were raised as a child. That's for a therapist to unpack with you. But for coaches, it's okay, what am I doing now? And what do I want to do in the future? And my now is all this negative self-talk is going on up here. So we need to change that. So instead of, I'm not being heard, my boss isn't listening to me, it's maybe I'm not communicating well enough to my boss. How can I communicate better to my boss to make sure that I'm being heard? You got to spin it back around to, what do I need to do to be better, to be heard? And then, and so much of our thoughts are, we think it's all about us. It's all about, well, really your boss is just having a bad day. It's not you, it's them. And so many times we get caught up in the, oh, it's me, he's not listening to me, he's upset with me, I did something wrong. No, he was having a bad day because his kid got kicked off the bus at school, and he had to take his kid to school. And he comes into work wearing it, wearing his emotions, and that has nothing to do with you. Nothing to do with you. But we think that, because we're so self-centric, that we think it was me, I did something, when really it's, the guy is having a bad day. Or, the guy who just cut you off in traffic is trying to get to the hospital to visit his mom. It's not you. He's not trying to cut in front of you. He's trying to get to the hospital to visit his mom, and he wasn't even paying any attention to you at all. So, there's all kinds of stuff where we project what's going on in our head out on everybody else. And it's not an us problem, it's a them problem.
Yeah. Again, it's about kind of reassessing the situation, or your narrative on the situation, and how it affects you, or how you view the situation, but not taking into account where the other person is coming from, where it's not everything is a personal attack.
No, it's not all about me. It's not.
If someone wants to start their journey and they want to implement the 6 energies, and let's say the first step, let's say for your physical energy is drinking a glass of water. And that this is all what, like, give yourself some leeway is all about. It's about taking the smallest steps possible on your personal development journey to overcome stress and to recover from burnout. So let's say we'll just use as an example, drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning is your first step of balancing your physical energy. What other examples would you have in place for the other 5 energies?
Okay, so like relationship energy would be the people that you surround yourself with, your chosen friends, family. You choose who is around you for relationship energy. Some people are not meant to be around you all the time. Some people, we call them seasonal. They're seasonal friends. They come and they go. That you have to kind of assess their energy and where they're at, and how are they serving you. So if their relationship energy is draining, if they're a negative person, if they're a naysayer, if they're a glasses half empty kind of person, and you decide that you don't want that energy around you, then you've got to figure out how to extricate yourself out of that relationship, or just not be social with that person. A lot of times, and even with family members, sometimes we have to extricate ourselves from a family member situation that is just too negative and not serving us and where we want to be and how we want to move forward. And some people are seasonal.
Okay, so let's say your first step in balancing your, would that be, let's say, your emotional energy?
Your relationship
energy.
Yeah.
So your relationship energy is probably cutting out a negative influence, or someone negative in your relationships.
Right.
It's not a matter of cutting them out of your life. It's just not exposing yourself to their negativity or to their criticism as much, or to their
right. Some people might need to be cut all the way out of your life. That just depends on on a situation, but if it's particularly abusive or something like that. But just the negative, the naysayer, the person that always like, oh no, I don't want to do that, or the glass is half empty kind of person that they always see the negative in everything. Yeah, try and limit your contact with that person and just pull it back so that you can stay positive and surround yourself with positive people, upbeat people who love you for who you are. Yeah.
Great. And what would the next energy be then? So we've got physical, we've got relationships.
Meaning, your existential type, spiritual type
Okay.
energy. So in that, you need to assess your core beliefs, your core values. What do you stand for? Do you stand for integrity, commitment, honesty, trust? There's whole lists. You can go through which ones are the most important to you as far as your ideals go and your values. And then you line up your decision making based on those ideals and value. We call that value reflection. And so does this line up with my value of integrity? Does this line up with my value of commitment? I'm committed to my family. I'm committed to visit my mom once a week. I'm committed to doing this. These are what I'm committed to. I have commitment. And then you figure out what you're committed to and does that serve you? And then your purpose. So figuring out what is your purpose. That can take people years to figure that out. There's been some seminars and some questions and books written about how to find your purpose. But to truly find your purpose, and now is what you're doing serving your purpose. So is podcasting serving my purpose of being a coach? Yes, because it's getting information out to people that might need it and might not normally hear it or might not normally find out about it. And it can help people without doing actual coaching one-on-one. So podcasting serves my coaching commitment. And so that's as far as like spiritual and existential commitment goes.
So what would be, let's say, your first step to that? Would it be in terms of commitment and purpose? Maybe you want to be more committed to keeping in contact with your parents. So you might ring them once a week or be in contact with them every day or every other day. Would you put that, let's say, if you're trying to make a list, let's say a to-do list of the things that you need to do to balance your energies,
Right.
we're having a glass of water, we're cutting out a negative influence
Right.
for relationships, we're maybe calling your mom and your dad once a week to catch up to make sure that they're okay, making sure that relationship is still there, still intact.
Right. So
that would be your integrity.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then as far as accomplishments go, your success, your pride, your ability to show up for yourself and celebrate your own success, that would kind of be an internal thing that you could do, but you could just say, what am I grateful for today? What are the 3 things that I'm grateful for today? What happened today that was awesome? What happened today that I can improve upon? Just a habit of gratitude can help with your accomplishments as well. So starting a habit of gratitude in a journal or on a journaling app is a great way to start with some energy healing.
Yeah, so just writing down 3 things, like it doesn't have to be. So I know some people try to simplify it too much and they kind of write things vague down, like I'm grateful I have clean drinking water, or I'm grateful that it's not raining today. And it's like, well, I suppose you can be grateful. Well, in Ireland, you would be grateful if it wasn't raining today because it's raining 9 out of 10 days or 90% of the time. So writing down 3 things that you're grateful for. Maybe it's I'm grateful that I didn't have to stop at 10 red lights on the way to work, that I only had to stop at 2.
Right.
Well, I hope all the other lights were green, but maybe only 2 red lights got in your way. And then, just things that maybe happened to you today. It's like, what was I grateful for that happened today in my day-to-day events? And
my one yesterday was I was grateful to go out to brunch with my friend Wendy. I was able to spend time with my friend and go out to brunch. So I was grateful that we were able to get together and do that. It's specific, but yet it's simple. It's we don't have to make it too hard, but we don't want to make it too, like I'm grateful I have water. No, I'm grateful that I got water as one of my habits, and I've nailed that habit of water. I'm grateful that I got that water habit down and I've nailed it. that's, that would be the idea.
Yeah, and it's like celebrating a win. You're celebrating a success in your day as well.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Always need to do that. Always find the positive, find the good. It's so easy to find the bad. It's so easy to go down that negative road. And positive thinking is harder to do. Our brain is trained to find what's wrong, not to find what's right. And so we have to retrain our brain to do, and then to do any lasting change, we have to retrain our brain to take the positive road, take the high road.
Yeah, 100%. I suppose what we have left is it's social and environmental.
So environmental, sometimes you don't have a whole lot of control over your environmental. You can choose how you react to it. Let's take the golf game, for example, where it pours down rain on the golf game. You can get all, catabolic energy about it and be all like, oh, this sucks. And, can be very negative about it. Or you can take the high road and say, okay, well, it gives us time to go in the clubhouse and sit down and have lunch with my 4 people who I haven't talked to in a week, my golf partners, and now we're going to sit down and have lunch and have a chit chat. Well, there we go. It's how, again, how do you take the negative or the negative or the positive? How do you see it? How do you react to it? How do you choose to respond rather than letting the situation dictate to you, well, you can't play golf now. Okay, well, I can't play golf. What can I do? So then let me sit down with these 4 people and be social. So it's the environmental pieces, again, how you look at it and how you choose to respond to it. Some of the environmental pieces, maybe like in a workplace or something like that, and maybe we could bring up to a supervisor and say, listen, this water cooler over here isn't working, the snack machine isn't working, and so-and-so's cubicle is falling down. We can fix those environmental factors. So you would bring that up to a supervisor or a boss or something to address and communicate positively about fixing things in your environment.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to gather, let's say, simple things like that you can change. Maybe even, let's say, approaching a boss might be intimidating for some people for approaching a boss. So it's about making it as simple a behavior as possible. And one example that I like from my own experience, is changing your environment at work. Let's say we'd sit in the canteen on our break times, and sitting in the canteen, it's a bit like everyone is sitting on their phones. They're watching the news, like Sky News or CNN or whatever, and it's always just negative news the whole time, breaking news that's just rising your stress levels. So one simple, let's say, environmental change is that I always sit with my back to the TVs. So I don't have that negative influence or those stressors. And you're more inclined to talk to people if you're not staring at the TV screen.
Right.
Or another, let's say, environmental change that I would do is that instead of sitting in the canteen where I know that I'm just going to be sitting there and I'm going to have, let's say, the news on in the background, I'll take the option to go outside if I can. If the weather is good, I'll go and I'll sit outside or go for a walk outside. And for that 5 or 10 minute break, I'm changing my environment, and it's kind of helping to kind of like refresh your mind and just kind of give your mind a reset before going back into work or going back into the office.
Yep. Outside sun exposure is very positive. Yep.
Yeah, so it's just like small changes, like some things that people wouldn't even think of. It wouldn't even cross their minds.
Right.
But those simple changes are what can start to help you balance out your energies.
Absolutely. I agree. And then what was our other one?
Social.
The social one. So that's our is that our friends? Relationships. I think I call social relationships. I think that's what you call it, social. I call it relationships.
And then the other one was emotional. So
yeah, there we go. That's the one.
Okay.
So like your positive emotion, your emotional mental health. That's defining the gratitude, defining the good versus the bad. When your expectations are not being met, then you can react a bad way. You could lose your energy and react a bad way. So here again, expectations, we've got to communicate our expectations. If we don't communicate, hey, I thought you were going to do this, and then we get upset about it because they didn't do it. Well, if you didn't say anything, You just expected it to happen. So communication is a big one in positive emotion, so that your expectations, people know what you're expecting and you know what they expect, so that we're together on the same page. So a good communication plan would be a good help for that energy.
Okay, so what would be, let's say, the most basic step if you want to
Most
simplify
basic
it for
step.
someone so that they don't, let's say, assume or make expectations? What's the
Mhm.
best way? Is there, let's say, a simple conversation process or system that they can use to make sure that,
Mhm.
okay, I'm 100% clear if I know this, this, and this before the end of the conversation, so that I don't expect someone to do something without them knowing, or that I
Right.
don't have high expectations and I'm disappointed by the result?
Right. So a great one for that is, what can I do to help? So you're going to ask, what can I do to help? And if they don't need your help, they say, well, I've got it. I really don't need your help on that. But, do you need a solution? Do you need support? Which one? Do you need me to help you with a solution? What can I do to help? Or do you need just support and listening to what you're saying? So those are some questions to ask yourself in a situation, and to ask the person that you're dealing with is, what can I do to help? Do you need my support, problem solving, or do you need me to just listen? Those are some great tactics to get the conversation started.
Yeah, and it gets you in the right headspace as well. So yeah,
Mhm.
you're not expecting the other person to come up 100% with the solution, and you're also creating that social connection as well. You're creating that,
Right.
because especially when it comes to stress and burnout, there's that social disconnect and emotional disconnect. So by having that question, what can I do to help?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're helping to establish that connection again. And again, you're not getting disappointed. You're not having unrealistic expectations of a relationship, or
Right, and
of
it's, yeah, and you're both giving it the opportunity to both say what you need, and to talk, and
yeah.
that's the gets everything started, is when we start talking to each other and communicating.
That's brilliant, Kathy. And I suppose, let's say, if you were to wrap up let's say this, I know we simplified the 6 energies. Um, if you had to have, let's say, 3 key takeaways about if someone wanted to implement these 6 energies into their life, and
Mhm.
maybe they had to change their mindset around how to start the 6 energies, or they didn't know where to get started, what's the
Mhm.
best way for them to get started? What would be your key takeaways to tell them?
Um, you can't do them all at once, so pick one. Pick the most important one, and pick the one that's dragging you down the most. Like we said, physical is like the very most important. Is make sure your physical, your nutrition, exercise, your hydration is all under control first, and then kind of go from there on which one is dragging you the most. So if it's your career, it's your job, if it's accomplishment, okay, what about that? And pick, like we were talking about, just pick 1 or 2 things that you can do for that energy. But like we had said before, that the physical is the most important place to start, to make sure all of that is under control, so that you can think clearly, so that you can get into that positive mind frame, so that your body's functioning, your mind is functioning, and then you can pick another energy that you really need to focus on, like, I'm stressed, time management. I need to work on my time management and my stress level. Okay, so is that social, relationship, accomplishment? Which one is causing you the stress? And then focus just on the one thing at a time. And then once you've got that one nailed, and this is, it's your non-negotiable, then you can move to the next one, and keep the non-negotiable one over here going. Keep this one going. Don't let it drop. And then go to the next one. Again, another small habit, another small change, a small improvement. And once you get that one nailed, then you go to the next one, and they add on. Like you said, they snowball, and they add on, and those habits that you're doing start to really change your perspective, your mental attitude, your alertness, your awareness, your interactions with others will just really improve.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I suppose, Kathy, for any listeners that want to hear more about you and what you do and your coaching, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
My website is www.runyourlife.biz. And you can contact me on my website. You can leave your email on there. I've got some freebies on there that you can sign up for on the website. One of them is the wheel of the 6 energies and how to score yourself. Then also my email is runyourlife1013@gmail. On Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. So, yep.
Brilliant. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Eugene.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Give Yourself Some Leeway. And if you did, please rate and review wherever you're listening to this. It makes the podcast more easily found. And if you got value from today's episode, please share with family, friend, or a loved one, because they may benefit from it just as much as you did. If you have any questions or any feedback on the topic, or maybe ideas for future episodes, you can reach out to me at giveyourselfsomeleeway.com or send me an email, eugene@leeway.ie. I read everything myself and usually respond within a day or so. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk soon.